I walked away from Tara Swart's interview with one idea echoing in my head. Stress doesn't just live in your mind, it leaks. It leaks through your skin, it hangs in the air, and other people can catch it. That sounds dramatic, but Tara's point is simple. The hormone cortisol literally diffuses from us and is picked up by the people around us, which means our inner state is not private. It's contagious. And the second echo was this. If stress is contagious, so is calm. That's the opportunity. Let me tell you what landed for me and how I'm changing my life because of it. Welcome back to Constantly Curious. Let's get into it. First, Tara reframed stress in a really practical way. She said an adaptive spike of stress is normal and useful. You rise to meet a challenge, then you come back down. The danger is when that cortisol level just stays high. That's when the brain's threat system acts like there's an ongoing emergency, and the body turns pro-inflammatory. That's when you start seeing weird knock-on effects. Skin issues, reflux, irritability, snapping at people you love because you've been white-knuckling all day, and yes, the one no one wants to hear. Chronic stress is associated with stubborn belly fat. Not the I'll run it off this weekend kind. Cortisol-driven, survival mode storage that won't budge until you change the stress itself. And because cortisol leaks, position in a hierarchy matters. A stressed CEO has an outsized physiological impact on their team, whether they look composed or not. That was a smack of accountability for me. It's not enough to hide stress. I have to actually regulate it for the sake of the people around me. So how? Tara's first two fixes are beautifully unglamorous. Move your body and empty your mind. Aerobic exercise literally helps you sweat out excess cortisol in journaling. Getting the rumination out of your head and onto a page reduces that mental spin. Sweat and write. Not complicated, highly effective. Then she layered in something that surprised me. The chemistry of bonding as a stress buffer. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, comes from eye contact, touch, laughter, even a hot bath. There's a wild detail about eye contact I can't unhear. Right eye to left eye creates especially strong emotional resonance, likely connected to early mother-infant bonding pathways. I'm not going to get weird about it, but I am more intentional now. When I greet someone, I slow down, make real eye contact, shake hands with warmth, maybe add the second hand on top for that feeling of trust, micro moments that humanize the room. Laughter helps too. We talk about culture as posters on a wall. Tara is basically saying your culture is the hormones you collectively generate. Sleep was the other non-negotiable that hit me harder than usual. I know sleep is important, but Tara explained something I hadn't internalized. The glymphatic system, your brain's overnight cleansing cycle, needs around 7 to 8 hours of actual sleep to flush metabolic waste like amyloid and tau. That process isn't a quick rinse, it's a long wash cycle. Side sleeping even helps the plumbing. She also mentioned HRV, heart rate variability, as a proxy for resilience, and told a story where a simple goodbye kiss from her husband created a visible recovery spike on her overnight HRV trace. That's a perfect metaphor for this whole conversation. Tiny moments of connection are not cute extras, they're physiological inputs. Another thread that changed how I think. Intuition isn't mystical vapor, it's embodied memory. Your life's patterns get pressed deeper into the nervous system over time. Cortex to limbic to brainstem to spinal pathways to the gut. That's why gut feelings feel so gut. It's stored experience, not magic. And that's good news, because if experience wires in, then new experience can rewire, which led to her big theme, neuroplasticity. From roughly 25 to 65 and beyond, your brain will plateau if you do nothing intense enough to force change. But if you choose challenges that stretch you, learning a language, a new instrument, skills that frustrate you at first, you don't just gain that skill. You gain global benefits to executive function. Emotional regulation, cognitive flexibility, creative problem solving, even bias override. That's a huge ROI. By the way, simply doing more of what you already do well doesn't count as a stretch. My version is interviewing, I'll get incrementally better, but it's not shaking up my wiring. The challenge has to feel effortful and novel. She gave a 4-part process for changing stubborn patterns. This was my favorite practical framework. Step 1, raised awareness. Spot the pattern without flinching. I people please. I spiral into overthinking. I choose unavailable partners. Name it. Step 2, focused attention. Map the triggers and the consequences across your life. When does it happen? What belief is under it? Not just the thought, this time will be different. but the belief beneath it. I'm not deserving of better. Tie the decision to the outcome on paper, so your brain stops treating them as separate events. Step 3. Deliberate practice. Pick the new behavior and practice it in real situations. Expect to do it imperfectly. If you hold presence 50% in the next meeting, awesome. Next time, aim for 60 to 70%. Reps matter because the brain likes the path of least resistance. You have to build a stronger path. The fourth factor, accountability. Most of us drift without it. That can be a friend, a coach, or even an action board, a vision board you actively work from and review publicly enough that you feel the nudge to follow through. Under the hood, 3 mechanisms are at work. Myelination, the fatty insulation that makes well-used pathways faster. Your superpowers get faster with repetition. Synaptic remodeling, existing neurons wiring together into new circuits. This is the grindy, worthwhile middle, where effort feels effortful. And neurogenesis, new neurons maturing and joining the network, especially around the hippocampus. 2 things boost that last one: aerobic exercise and dark-skinned plant foods rich in anthocyanins. Think blueberries over strawberries, black beans over white, purple broccoli, dark chocolate, good coffee. It's oddly satisfying to eat for plasticity. She told a study that sounds like a motivational meme, but has real data behind it. 2 groups did weight training. One actually lifted, the other only visualized lifting for 2 weeks. The real lifters got the big gains, but the visualization group still showed a measurable increase in muscle strength, around the low teens %, just from mental practice. No, you can't think yourself jacked while watching football, but yes, visualization is a legitimate multiplier when paired with action. We also wandered into fasting, and her take was refreshingly sane. Time-restricted eating can benefit the brain and blood sugar stability, but it's a stressor. If you don't have the foundations, sleep, movement, hydration, solid nutrition, stress management, fasting is just more stress and won't help build the base first. Another section I didn't expect to love, but did, was language and priming. There's a classic experiment: slip in words associated with aging, Florida, bungalow, walk, and students literally walk slower leaving the room. That's how suggestible our behavior is to the words floating around us. Since hearing that, I've been policing my own word choices. I catch "I need coffee" and change it to "I'm choosing a coffee." "I don't have time" becomes "It's not my priority today." Tiny edits, big shift in agency. Also, I'm done calling myself messy or bad at organization. I'm practicing and I'm improving. Tara's point is that repetition wires belief. Choose the sentences you want your brain to believe. On confidence and self-esteem, she gave a practical hack to jumpstart the heavier work. Identify the recurring negative sentence in your head and craft a counterphrase that's believable enough to repeat, not delusional. "I'm a billionaire by Friday," but useful. "I can do this imperfectly and still do it well." Or simply, "I'm safe." Safety statements really matter because so many of our confidence problems are actually our nervous system scanning for threat. We spent time on trauma too: personal, generational, and intergenerational epigenetics. The short version is sobering and empowering. Severe stress can alter gene expression across generations, but plasticity gives us tools to tilt expression back toward resilience. If you had a stressful pregnancy, or your family history carries heavy events, that's not a life sentence. It's a call to action. Regulate stress, teach kids emotional skills early, meditate with them, model calm. Knowledge is power when you use it. On grief, Tara said something I needed to hear. You can't out-optimize grief. You have to go to the bottom of the hole and actually feel it. Trying to outwork or outparty it just stores it for later. The work is to process fully so you can eventually carry the memory without it carrying you. She also nudged me on who I keep in my tribe. Social contagion isn't just stress. Behaviors spread too. Divorce, obesity, cynicism, attitudes travel. The point isn't to abandon people. It's to be intentional. Spend more time with people who are also growing, open, and kind. That pulls you upward, and yes, that includes auditing the digital diet, less pornified, transactional expectations, and more real face-to-face connection. You can feel the difference in your nervous system. One of the most hopeful parts of the conversation was about aging and mindset. There's a study where people in their 80s spend a week living in a space retrofitted to feel like their 60s. Magazines, decor, even carrying their own suitcases. After 1 week, posture, coordination, and perceived age improved. Another group only reminisced and got some benefits, but less. The lesson is not pretend you're 25. It's act into the identity you want. Your body listens to your behavior. That idea even showed up in Tara's personal story. An optician casually predicted reading glasses. She refused the narrative and kept practicing near focus. Next check, better scores. Is that pure mindset? Probably not. But it's mindset plus behavior, and the combo matters. Which brings me to manifestation. I know half of you flinch at that word. Tara's framing finally clicked for me. Manifestation is not an external genie. It's your brain, thoughts, beliefs, actions, results. You use tools like action boards not as talismans, but as focusing devices. You visualize to prime your attention and behavior, then you go do the work. And when it comes to relationships, her twist is the best I've heard. Write the qualities you want in a partner, and then make sure you're becoming those qualities yourself. We rise to the level of our values and fall to the level of our wounds. If you want kind, healthy, emotionally available, be in training for kind, healthy, emotionally available. 2 more practical micro tools I took from the ancient wisdom side of her work. Humming or chanting to settle the nervous system. Seriously, try humming in the car, and more time in nature, which seems to be our species' universal safe signal. Your brain reads trees and birdsong as not under attack, which opens bandwidth for learning, creativity, and connection. So how am I changing my life after this episode? First, I'm treating my inner state as a public good. My calm, or my chaos, spreads. I'm training calm on purpose, daily sweat, daily pages, short breathing breaks, and at least 1 oxytocin input, honest eye contact, a real hug, shared laughter, or yes, a hot bath at the end of a long day. Second, I'm protecting sleep like it's my job. 8-ish hours, consistent window, side sleeping when I wake, and a harder boundary around late screens. Not because sleep is healthy, but because my brain literally needs the wash cycle to finish. Third, I picked a true stretch, something that makes me clumsy and humble. Pick yours and schedule it, work at it. Fourth, I'm editing my language. Choose over need, practice over bad at. I'm safe over I'm failing. And when I catch the old story looping, I counter with 1 useful sentence and an action that proves it. Fifth, the pattern protocol. I wrote down 1 stubborn pattern, mapped its triggers and consequences, and picked a replacement behavior. I told a friend my plan. Now I get reps and keep score. Sixth, I'm curating my tribe, not with snobbery, but with intention. More time with people who are growing and kind, more in-person energy. Fewer rooms, physical or digital, where cortisol is the house scent. And there's 1 more daily practice I'm stealing directly from Tara. It's 5 minutes and costs nothing. I sit, breathe, and vividly visualize the next chapter as already true, not to check out of reality, but to move my brain from fear into trust. Then I say, thank you for the future I'm building. And I get up and do 1 small thing that matches the picture. That combination, picture plus proof, feels like the doorway where change actually starts. Here's the headline I'm leaving with. You're not a fixed character. You are a living rewiring system. Your thoughts are not just private entertainment. They are instructions your body tries to follow. Your relationships are not just social. They are biochemical, and your habits, sleep, movement, food, focus, language, are not chores. They're levers. Stress leaks. So does calm. Pick which one you want to broadcast today. Thanks for listening. If this sparked something, share it with the most calm, contagious person you know, and the most stressed leader who might need a nudge. I'll see you next time.